Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us for Politically Incorrect Knitters. I'm Deplorable Knitter, and I am joined, as always, by the wonderful Anne Pinkova. Hi, Anne.
Hello. And this week's episode is sponsored by Lynn of Chicken Lady Fiber Arts. You can go to chickenladyfiberarts.com and use our promo code military20PIK for 20% off your order. Make sure to subscribe to her newsletter because she has all sorts of new colorways like the ones I got in the mail. They're amazing. I'll show them off. But you can also get lovely yarns like this, which is this month's giveaway. This is called Rapunzel. And this is on her 80% merino, 10% cashmere, 10 nylon base, the Wyandotte Aran. It's really, really beautiful. And it goes really well with our signature colorway, the PIK colorway. So look at that.
Yes. Yes, exactly. And so make sure you check her out because they're so pretty and lovely. And I'm jelly that you got a whole shipment. What happened? Did you order or were they sent to you?
Oh, I
Little
ordered.
both. Okay.
I ordered, and so DK hasn't seen any of Knitting Wars, so I feel like my yarn news is just going to be a lot of replay of that. But Neil and I ordered almost exactly the same things, which is hilarious because we didn't pre-coordinate.
That's funny. I want to see. I don't have much knitting news, so do you mind if I go first and then you can talk about all your stuff?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so speaking of Chicken Lady, I had this colorway that she dyed. I've got a hair stuck in my knitting. My hair is always in my knitting.
Mine every time.
But I've got this colorway that she dyed, and I was talking about how it was so beautiful. I didn't want to knit it because it was so beautiful, but I did knit it. I was in a class, so you guys probably missed us last weekend, and I apologize. That was totally my fault. I was in a 16-hour class on Saturday and Sunday, and time got away from me. It was a really long couple of days, and then I had a medical thing I had to do, and now here we are. It's Thursday, and I don't know where the last week went, and so I apologize that we weren't here last week. But while I was in my class, one of the really cool things was that it was a lot of like discussion and listening, and so I was able to knit, and I made a beautiful cowl out of my blouse barn colorway from Chicken Lady. Look at it. Look at how beautiful this is.
It's lovely, but it sounds like you're in a windstorm when you hit your microphone.
Yeah, sorry about that. I realized that when I was putting it on. But this pattern is called the Adam and Eve cowl by Knitterista. She is a German gal, and I believe she only sells on Ravelry, but I was blessed with a gift. And so I was lucky enough to be able to make this pattern, which I had been kind of wanting to make. I love this shape, and so I was really excited to make it. But I got to, in my class, all was not lost because I was able to knit, and they did not mind, which was really awesome. And so I knit most of this in my class. I just finished blocking it today. The back's actually still a little damp. But yeah, so there's my beautiful, this is what I worked on. I'm very happy with it. And you can get this colorway from Chicken Lady. It's Blouse Barn, and it's like a pea green with like all kinds of blues. And you would think like, but really it's awesome. So
very pretty.
Yes. Okay, so what do you have, Anne?
Well, I'll start with the yarn that I got from Chicken Lady because it's awesome. So I kind of went crazy. I went crazy a little bit. And got her some colorway first off, which is
I didn't hear what you said. What was this one?
The Isom colorway.
Right. Okay.
So it's all of the oranges and blacks and everything. And then I have a shawl idea. I'm not quite sure about it yet, but it's kind of going around in my head. So I got 3 of them. And yeah, so they're very fun. I really like them. And I got some blackety black to go with that. So, and then
I love it that it's called Blackety Black. I was just browsing her site because I'm late to the party, but I was thinking about doing a faux set top that is by Knitty McPurley, and I needed a third color. And I was browsing her site.
One of those, yeah.
Yeah. But I won't, I'll be behind the 8 ball. Mine will come in 6 months and that's fine. So
From what everyone says, it's a really quick knit. So, definitely.
I think the knit along ends this month though, which is like 3 days from now. So like, let's be realistic here.
Yeah, 3 days is not good. But anyways,
yeah,
okay,
sorry,
also,
I'm chatty today.
That's fine. But yeah, so yeah, the Isom, the Blackity Black, and then I got some of her plain yarn because, okay, so this is something I've showed off before. I have 3 of these. This is not in a normal shipment. That this is was one of her one of a kind colorways, and there's 3 of them, and they're lovely. And so I've been thinking for a while. It's actually it's the one of a kind 007. So I wanted to do a Gala brand sweater, who is my favorite Bond girl. She's from Moonraker, but she's in the book. She never appeared in a film. But I was looking it up because no, wait, I remember in the story there is a pink and white striped sweater. Well, it's a pink and white striped shirt, but it's not Gala's. It's the secretary's. So you have Moneypenny, who is M's secretary, but all of the double O's share a secretary between them because there's only like 3 or 4 of them and they're not often in the office. And I had to, so anyways, all of that to the side, that I'm like, no, I want this very niche reference Bond girl sweater. So I got this white yarn too. So anyway, so now I have 3 skeins of each. So 6 is enough, I think, for something. So that's going to the side.
I love your stories and I love how I never ever get the references, but you're so excited about them. You're always like, it's this really cool thing that if you look back in Japanese literature 700 years ago, you'll find it. And I'm like, okay, Anne, super.
Well, that's the thing. With so much of my knitting, it's like I love to make things that make me laugh. That's not anybody else normally. Like, I mean, the Legion of Memers, I'll show that again because I don't think I showed the wreckage. That was the one that I abandoned. I might finish it, but it's stuff like that. And I mean, even with superhero knitting stuff I did, and the Trump undesirable #1, all of that, if it cracks me up, then it's accomplished. I'm like, okay, good. It's fun. It's a good time.
That's the best way to do it. But
Right.
I did see the messed up hat because I didn't watch the entire episode of you on the midweek hump. Is that what it's called? It sounds so
That is
wrong.
what it's called. That no, it is.
So Anne was on Shagsworth midweek hump.
Yes.
Yes.
I hope my mom.
And I did see it.
That's just what I hope.
Most of your jokes make her laugh too, I bet. So you're probably fine.
They probably do. She gets my niche Bond references.
Exactly. I don't mean to keep interrupting you. I'm sorry, but you just make me laugh so much.
Right. Yeah, but anyways, so yeah. Oh, and the last color, which probably won't be your favorite, but I love it. It is called Meh. It is gray and yellow, and this one I already unskein, so it's all sloppy. So I'll unskein it, show you guys, because it is fantastic. It's
yellow.
Yeah, I know you don't like particularly bright yellows, but see, this is why Neil and I were sitting there like, oh, it's like goldfinch yellow. It's kind of a superhero-y element to it too that's very brash, and there's these little tiny like speckles of blue in there, which like could have you like, I wouldn't have been unhappy if there was more blue, though I still think it's awesome. Like, and he pointed out it's what's her face? Yaira, the chick from Isom that's very similar to her stuff. So yeah.
Well, I love Chicken Lady. Chicken Lady, I love you and everything you do is lovely, but I think that Meh is an appropriate name for that color.
Right. Yeah.
That's how I feel about yellow. Bright yellow.
Oh, I know that bright yellow isn't your thing, which is why the PIK colorway is more of a rich gold than a bright yellow.
It it matches my Hogwarts shirt that I think I've worn like several episodes in a row. I swear I have other clothes, guys. You just keep catching me on those days where I'm wearing it.
Right. But I love it. I think it's amazing. And I have two of these, and I'm thinking something in the realm of accessories. So I don't know, maybe a cowl, maybe a hat. I don't know. Little wristlets. I'll have to think about it.
Mhm.
But
I want to
and
see how it knits up because I like
Right.
it with the gray,
mhm.
but it's one of the things you gotta see together.
And if the isom again, I'm a little unsure what I'm going to do for the isom shawl, but the black would be awesome with it too. Like that would just
I do like it with the black. I feel like it kind of balances out that yellow.
ooh, or again, I don't have a yarn, but I have a thing of Sharpies here. A bright blue, also very cool. I'll have to think. But yeah, that and like I said, it cracked me up that both Neil and I were like, ooh, that one. And
That's funny.
yeah, also in knitting news, the thing I'm working on most, I have the second one of these that I'm working on. It's only to like this point, but it's there. I most of this past week, you know, you'd think we'd be gone for a while, I'd have more to show, but I have been crocheting here before I do the crocheting. It's okay. You don't have to interrupt me. I interrupt myself. Anyway, so I have, and again, I know this is a lot of this is repeats, but so Legion of Memers hat, and then I decided to do the colors in reverse because that works out, and I created this creepy little skull beast with blank eyes, and
I still wonder though if you finish that if it will come together because you know how sometimes when you're halfway through something it looks terrible and then you finish it you're like oh yeah no that's actually something so
yeah, but to compare the two, okay, so the wonky pupils are intentional. That's how the logo is, right? But having those pupils be the light color, I'm like, so I might like omit the outline and then do all mostly black on gray. Anyways, I'm not sure. That's why this is in timeout. And also why I'm crocheting, which you know should shock everybody. But yeah, I have this far on a blanket that's like 7 feet wide. So
someday you'll be warm.
someday.
Yeah.
But yeah,
apparently she was stress crocheting because I forgot to call her this weekend. So the fact that she's that far on her blanket is my fault.
I'm just sitting here going like, oh no. What is going on with the show?
It was all my fault. I take full responsibility. I will do better in the future. I'm sorry for any pain I have caused anybody or hurt by forgetting to call Anne last weekend.
It's okay. I think you struggle sessioned enough.
Sorry, it's been a long week. I have to just laugh through it, or I'm not going to get through till tomorrow because I have a kid that is having a birthday party this weekend because I have time for that right now. And it's a Harry Potter themed birthday. Yay! So that'll be fun. I'll have to wash my Hogwarts shirt so I can wear it again. Dude, I got to be in theme for the party.
Party at your house. So
What'd you say?
every day is a Harry Potter party at your house wearing the Harry Potter t-shirt.
Dude, it's how I get through stuff. I pretend that I'm supposed to be in a school full of witches and wizards and that this is just passing. No, I love my house, don't get me wrong. But yeah, I gotta bake a birthday cake tomorrow. I haven't bought a single thing for the actual party. Like we have decorations, but there's no food, there's no drinks. There's just gonna be a bunch of people in a pavilion with some decorations. That's it. It's been a week. So that's what I know. So besides the knitting that you've done, is there anything new in the knitting world we need to touch on?
There is a couple knitting world things, but also there was a big announcement. This is again a repeat from Knitting Wars. Why aren't you watching Knitting Wars? Come on, everybody.
That was me. Sorry, I didn't watch it.
It's okay.
I was busy.
No, it's Okay, so we finally announced our big upcoming audience appreciation knit along. I am so excited for this. I am stupidly excited for this, and DK will attest to this.
She's been really excited for several weeks about this.
I know it. I've been excited enough to plan, but we are doing the PIK Shark Challenge during Shark Week, which is July 11th through 18th, unless they change Shark Week on us. And if they do, we're just plowing through July 11th through the 18th. That the challenge is that you have to cast on a project, and if you don't finish it in a week, you have to rip it out. So you have to. Anyways, I'm so excited about this. And also, better than that, everybody wins because everybody gets prizes. To enter, you have to email us. Don't do it now. It's not July yet, people. Everybody calm down. But to enter, you have to send me your name and your address and any social medias that you're going to be posting your projects on to politicallyincorrectknitters@gmail.com, and everybody will get stickers from us. There's going to be a Shark Week specific sticker. There's going to be a sticker if you won or even if you lost the Shark Week challenge and had to rip it all out. Okay. But there's also going to be stickers of the logos of many of your favorite podcasters. Everyone's pitching in that we have Two Sisters and Some Yarn, Murder Knits, Chicken Lady will have a sticker. Naughty Knitwits are joining us, which are very exciting. We've kind of wanted to have them on the show for a while, but they haven't been able to make it. Wise Owl Knits, and there's several other people. So I know I'm forgetting people, but there are coming. Carista from Sweet Mountain Fibers, she's going to be joining in. And she's planning colorways. Lynn is planning colorway. Tina from Wedded Yard and Fiber is planning one. Susan from Delightful Works, she has already made a Shark Week themed bag for this. So if you want to go ahead and check her out. But yeah, and farther, so for your projects, everybody gets an entry for joining in at all. But you also get an extra entry because we assume you're only going to have one project in Shark Week. That's kind of part of the thing of it being a challenge, but you get an extra entry if the project itself is shark themed, if you're using a shark themed yarn, if you're using a shark themed project bag or stitch marker. And you get one for if you take a picture of what you're knitting while watching a shark themed show. Anything sharky, does not matter. I don't care if it's
Sharknado.
You can watch Sharknado. You can watch Finding Nemo. You can watch Steve Zissou, Jaws, actual documentaries about shark, anything, man. If it's a 5-minute YouTube video and you snap a picture and there's a shark in the background, you're in. So yeah, so it's going to be good. We're going to do live streams through the week. There's going to, when you send us your information, we're going to send you back a link to a Zoom call. We're not sure when we're going to do that quite yet because it's a little time out, but we'll coordinate a private Zoom call with everybody who wants to join. And there's going to be a Telegram group. So watch out for that. Everyone can come in and chat. And yeah, it's going to be fun. I'm excited. I'm pretty jazzed about this project. So.
Yeah. A few weeks ago, Anne was like, I want to do this Shark Week thing. And I'm like, oh, good Lord. But you have really got this all together. This sounds like a blast. Yeah, I am in the Telegram group, but that does not mean that I remember to read the messages. So this is all really exciting to me. I'm like stoked.
Oh, it'll be an addition. That's the one where okay. It's funny coordinating behind the scenes because we're like, okay, so the lady doing the stickers and everything, and we're trying to do everything that way and figure it out and the rest of it. And yeah, it's going to be a go. It's going to be a great time. Or it's going to crash horrendously. But even if it does, it's Shark Week, baby. Come on. If some of us
who doesn't love Shark Week? Yeah. And wasn't Neil quite confused about this?
Yeah, well, Shark Week, it might surprise you to know, is an American thing. It's not something.
You're telling me that they don't celebrate this where Neil lives, or in Canada, or
Oh, and I was
what?
telling Neil about this. I'm like, no, Shark Week. He's like, what? And then later he's like, no, wait, maybe my cousin told me about this once. I'm like, no. And then you'll get like specialty Shark Week ice cream. Like Sonic will have the drink that's the Shark Week special, where it's a blue slushy, but they'll put a bit of red in the top. Or I think Cold Stones did a Shark Week special ice cream for a bit, where they had gummy sharks and blue ice cream, and they had granola, or not granola, graham cracker crumbs on it like it was sand. Like, no, it's Shark Week, everybody celebrate.
I wonder if it's a bigger thing where you live, because I don't recall seeing much of the Shark Week stuff around.
See, that's also the thing, because okay, while I'm always like, woohoo, it's Shark Week, this is not something I sit down and actually watch the programming for. It just makes me happy. It's like the tacky lawn flamingo. I love me a plastic lawn flamingo. It's great. Hawaiian shirts, chili pepper lights. I love all of it. This is
Okay, so this is your Hawaiian shirt thing you got going on. I see.
the
So we're
plastic
good.
lawn sunflower of television. That's what we're excited for.
Excellent. Okay. Well, that's going to be a blast. So looking forward to it. I was contemplating designing something to commemorate it. So you and I will have to talk.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
It's going to be fun. Okay, cool. So any other knitting news that you've heard of that we need to discuss?
Well, Stitches Midwest, or not just Midwest, all of
No
Stitches,
stitches.
right, is shutting down, which we talked a little bit about on Tuesday. But
Yep.
they shut down while they were still taking money from vendors and classes, and then they took all of the money and said bye-bye. So
Yeah,
that's fun.
okay. So businesses, sometimes they know things aren't going well and they try to like boost themselves up to get through and whatever. But it sounds like Stitches knew that they were done, but instead of like admitting to anybody else they were done, they just kept collecting money. I think I heard that they were collecting money up until like the day that they were sending out the email saying that they were bankrupt. Like, that's a crap move, people. Like, there's like, oh, I'm trying to get my business through. Let's see if we can get some more orders and get enough money to keep but you can't be sending a bankruptcy email the same day that you're still taking like vendor fees. That's shitty.
Right.
So yeah, that's great. And Lola Bean, she's still fundraising for her studio. If you guys want to donate, it's sold at like $74,000, and I haven't seen a video of anybody dancing in quite some time. So it's really quite disturbing.
Well, it is a pity. But yes,
So,
the Stitches thing, we'll continue to follow that, because I know other people have been doing fundraisers for vendors and various stuff. So yeah.
should we talk some news? We haven't talked news in a
Have you
while.
showed your knitting?
My knitting?
You did already. I'm sorry. Of course you did.
Remember it was a wind tunnel?
Yes.
Yeah, I did it.
Sorry. Or I don't know. I think I probably had it in my head that you would share your one hat that you're doing the new project of, but you've done that before. So never mind. Don't mind me.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty good right now. So
Okay, sorry.
I was pretty stoked that I had one completed project. Dan's trying to get me to have more than one. Come on.
Well, I just have bits of pieces, and you've seen them all before, so that's fine.
You saw me. I was just gone for a week. I'm lucky I have one. It just disappeared. So let's talk news. It's
Sure.
been a while.
It has.
So is there anything abroad that we need to know about?
Well, a couple of
Is the Pope Catholic? Like, of course, there's
Yeah.
something Anne wants to tell us that's happening abroad. Okay.
So, the Stein and Ofcom case, which is huge. I mean, it is one of the larger cases for free speech that there is right now, especially since little pause there, that Toby Young of the Free Speech Union in England, you know, the one who was helping everybody out, the guy who was saying that, hey, if you get canceled, if people try to cancel you at your job or anything else, we're going to actually stand up for you. That guy took a dig at Calvin Robinson for calling it the Ukraine instead of Ukraine. And he's the head of the Free Speech Union is policing other people's words.
Yeah, didn't he do something else that was totally like ridiculous and made you go, like?
Yeah, he said that Ofcom, the government agency, could tell Stein what he liked, and that he knew some lovely people from Ofcom, and they were quite right about the whole thing. Basically, it sounded like Sean Hannity talking about the CIA, about all those good agents he knows, and he wears the pin. Dude, on both counts. But yeah, anyway, so gotta say, I canceled my membership over that, which is a pity because they do a good job and I want to hand my money to people who are good for free speech. But I hand Stein money, so that is something indeed. But okay, so Mark Stein and also Naomi Wolf have been, quote, found guilty by Ofcom of, you know, saying inappropriate things on air. Okay, they were not asked to give comment directly to Ofcom about this. Naomi Wolf was not asked to produce her research when it came to COVID and the vaccines. Her research, which is compiled, which is from 3,500 doctors and scientists.
Oh, is that all?
Oh yeah, just, I mean, a few extremists. But yes, that Naomi Wolf is, quote, found guilty of harm. And again, it's not even as if they're saying that what she is saying is wrong. It's not that it's wrong, it's that it's harmful. And yeah, no one called her in for evidence. She is guilty in absence. She doesn't know who her accusers are. She doesn't even know the judge in this case. Okay, again, and yet she was not told to produce any of her scientific research or anything at all. You know, that she had her clip on TV, and they took months to deliberate from her clip on the Mark Stein show. Whether or not that was good or bad, according to Ofcom, the British television regulatory system. So all of this is absurd. And I mean, it is just a complete miscarriage of justice, or that this is considered justice at all, that a bureaucracy can, quote, find you guilty, you know, without due process or any legal system. And GB News is, because GB News published this originally, they're considered to be the ones that take the fines. But GB News isn't standing for Stein or Naomi Wolf. They're just totally rolling it. So yeah. Anyways, and this is something, okay. So the COVID narrative is totally unraveling. You can't get a lot of places you can't get the shot anymore. They're stopping it. They're like, oh yeah, that was a bad idea. You know, quietly shoving it under the rug. But even now, there's a doctor in Australia who is being harassed by the licensing board for introducing Naomi Wolf on a virtual Zoom call. Okay, so even though we're all like, yeah, COVID, wild, right? What was that about? There are still harms coming from it. There are still reputations destroyed and people whose jobs were lost. And several people doctors from this Australian health board have actually committed suicide because it was such a rough thing for them to lose their career and be hounded out of it. Okay, this is extremely difficult and awful stuff. And naturally, our free speech is tantamount through all of this. And just be like, well, yeah, this we said follow the science. Science is saying you're more right every day, but still, it is a government policy by the government regulatory system that telling people that and what ought to be an elect medical procedure may not be good for you, may have some medical side effects, that is not allowed.
It's insane to me that they're still like trying to get people in trouble for this stuff. Like, it's been proven and proven and proven that, the vaccine didn't do what it was supposed to, and that, COVID didn't affect people the way that it was reported to in the beginning. And they're still trying to like die on this hill. I just don't understand it. Like, I don't know.
And not only that, they want to double down in future. And they're like, you know what we need to make sure that less people can have differing opinions for future medical issues, because we did so well last time. Like that stupid "it's time for COVID amnesty" piece, which basically said, yeah, well, you may have been right, but after all, you all were, a bit ridiculous not listening to me, who was wrong, I'll admit. But it's like, yeah, you were right, but worse, you were not obedient and you didn't listen to the experts. And even a wrong expert is better in the opinions of many people than having a correct layman tell them that they're wrong, especially if they're wearing a MAGA hat.
Right. I mean, obviously, we're all a bunch of far-right extremists, which is why you shouldn't listen to us. But I wonder what's going to happen, because I don't know if you've heard, but on the news, I think this morning, they were telling us that there might be another strand coming from China. Omicron something, like Omicron was one of the worst variants. Like, it was worse than some of the other ones, but it's an extra super Omicron variant that they're saying is going to come now. So I wonder what's going to happen. And like, I wonder if people are going to like
right after Mpox. I actually saw or listened to, it was on the radio. It was one of those top of the hour news updates, but they were talking about a possible resurgence of Mpox. So like, wow.
So when I was young, there was a song called Bop, and that's what I think of when people say that crap, because it's so dumb. No, I was at the hospital yesterday with my mother, and there was a study sign up in the elevator for Mpox. So I guess they're still trying to make that a thing too. I don't know. But it's like just weird to me.
We all know how to not get monkeypox. Okay, it's very simple, very, very easy.
True story. But I just wonder, hearing about this thing coming from China again, like, are they going to try to do the stuff again because people went along with it the first time? Like, I don't know. It's just interesting to watch, I guess.
It is.
We'll see. So when you were talking about Stein, you mentioned Sean Hannity and how he's like a CIA apologist or whatever.
Yeah.
And this isn't exactly about that, but I did want to talk about Fox News, so I'm gonna put it in here.
Sure. Go ahead. Hannity now has Tucker Carlson's spot. How's that?
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah.
Well, what I do know is that, I was working today, and while I was working, I was listening to the Matt Walsh podcast, because I've had to fill some holes now that Tucker's not on. Because I would listen to Tucker, and I just love the way he presented stuff. Is so very like concise, and this is what's up, and it was all very easy to like fact check. Like, if I wanted more information, I could very easily find it, and so I always really like to listen to him. I'm trying to fill the hole. If anybody has anybody else I should listen to that's like an hour tops. Like, I don't have time like Anne to hang out and listen to Stein and those streams that are 3 hours long. I got other stuff to do. So
Stein's only an hour Monday through Thursday. So I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, Anne. I'm thinking of that guy that we don't talk about that you used to really like, that was like 3 hours.
Oh, Crowder. I know. I'm still upset. I mean, again, maybe it'll turn out all right. I don't think it will. I think it's just a bummer.
No, it's over. But Matt Walsh was telling me today, because he and I were hanging out while I
Oh
was
yeah,
working.
all the time, always. He was telling you about how anime is awful. Yeah, that's cool.
I haven't heard him say anything about anime. But what he was telling me was that Fox News has so their like employee handbook guidelines or whatever was leaked. And so Fox News is they're so very conservative on air, but in the actual like newsroom and offices and things, they are very pro trans people, which I thought was really interesting. They allow employees to use bathrooms that align with their gender identity rather than their biological sex. They dress in alignment with their preferred gender. They can be addressed by they must be addressed by their preferred name and pronouns. And they were talking about I can't find the exact quote, but there's some sort of agency or company or something that like rates people on how humanitarian they are, and Fox gets like perfect scores in it because they in their offices are completely aligned to this gender ideology thing, which it kills me because it's like not what they're supposed to be on air. And then during this whole thing they were talking about how Tucker Carlson had to fight with with the company to be able to refer to Dylan Mulvaney as a he, because they want people to address Mulvaney as a woman because that's what he presents as. And so like I watched Tucker, but I would always watch Tucker on YouTube. Like I would find bootlegs of his show and watch it because I liked what he had to say. But I could probably count on both hands the number of times I've watched Fox since the election, because I feel like some of their reporting, not that it would have changed the election, but I feel like they called Arizona before anybody else did. Like stuff was going on at Fox that was not things I was good with. But I just I just cannot believe it. And then they have they want to have a inclusive work environment, and they want people to transition. And there's a whole thing about, it's the Human Rights Campaign, I think, that is the one that was grading on. But just all of this crazy stuff, and it's this conservative news station. And I just if you guys, there are some people I still like on Fox. Like I think Gutfeld is hilarious, and I I think Gutfeld is really funny. But I don't know how you can keep supporting them. Like that's a personal choice. If you want to, please do. But
right,
they're the sheep and wolf. They're the wolf in sheep's clothing. They're there pretending to be one of us, but really they're not. And it's the more you listen to it, the more they're going to tell you who they are. And here they are. They told you. They are all about the agenda.
Right. And yeah, that old Rupert Murdoch thing, who, to put it a little back to international news, it's Rupert Murdoch money behind Fox News, but it's also Rupert Murdoch money behind Piers Morgan in England. And Piers Morgan, who will occasionally do something like, yeah, I'm big butch and principled, and then he just is like, no, he isn't. Really, he's not. Stop trying to make it a thing. But yeah, and I would say that, I would say the same thing for Fox News, that I would occasionally watch a clip of Tucker Carlson, but I don't have cable. didn't sign up for Fox Nation or anything like it. There was a clip of Tucker Carlson even saying like, yeah, why am I putting all this extra work in? And the crew is doing into all of these specials we are doing for Fox Nation, and the app sucks. What are you, what's the point of this? But yeah, I mean, the last time that I watched Fox as a news channel at all, I happened to be in a hotel room and I was flipping channels. Like that's and I think, I mean, the channel itself, the ratings have absolutely crashed. I'd even say the ratings
Tucker was
since Tucker, I would say, and again, back to international, just like GB News ratings, total crash since Stein left. Fox News, total crash since Tucker left, and
I mean,
and stock price and the rest of it.
I mean,
nobody wants to watch.
Sorry,
go ahead.
I know that they took a hit when the election happened because there were there were many people like me who didn't like their coverage, didn't like the way that they wouldn't let people openly discuss the fact that it didn't seem like it was a fair election. And once they started to silence those people, that's when I stopped watching. But I know Tucker, for a lot of people, was the draw.
Right. And I think that's something we said after the election too, that's like, yeah, I don't want to watch Fox anymore, but I still like Tucker. And that it was apparently a pretty common theme from people.
So I just thought that was interesting because they're touting this whole like conservative men are men and women are women, but in the background they're doing all the stuff that all these other companies are doing, and it's like I find it sad because it's just sad because they're pretending to be something that they're not, and people who maybe don't pay as much attention, or if I hadn't heard that Matt Walsh thing, I never would have heard about this. So there's that.
In the nerd circles, they talk about the Iron Age of comics, that, you know, you had the Golden Age and the Silver Age and the Bronze Age, and we're in the Iron Age. And that it seems it's been said many times before, but this is the era of alternate media, that you get faster and more reliable news coverage from the internet than you do cable. Or I would even say almost all of any conservative radio programs. I mean, I'm sure there's some, but not a lot.
Well, and with the way things happen so quickly, if you're not like on social media, it's old news by the time they get it produced for like a TV station sometimes. So it's so Ann and I sometimes even have trouble reporting on things that are happening because something will happen on a Monday, and by the time we record on a Thursday, that's old news. Like we might not even bring up something that was a big story at the beginning of the week because 800 other things have happened since that happened.
Yeah, the hamster wheel keeps turning.
Well, I was just going to mention that Tim Scott put his hat in the ring for the Republican presidential run, and so I don't know much about him. I was looking at his website, and he wants to like build the wall, and he wants to get rid of illegal immigrants and get rid of catch and release. And he's talking about parental rights in education and transparency in classrooms. Life has intrinsic value because it comes from God. That's not a cool thing to say anymore. I kind of like that being right there on his website.
Right.
Peace through strength. Yeah. So it sounds like he's got a lot of the same things that Trump has, put out there as his kind of points. I mean, the biggest thing I see on here is that he really wants me to give him some money. But I think that if you go onto any politician's website,
that was almost the second thing out of DeSantis's mouth too on his thing. I don't know if you listened to his Twitter announcement or someone else's recording of it or anything.
No, I didn't hear that one.
Oh, that's funny. I mean,
I was going to go to that next, but yeah.
Okay, go. I,
No, so Tim Scott, he's not somebody I know much about, but he did put his hat in the ring. So I'm interested to learn more about him. I don't know where he stands against Trump, but
right.
we'll see.
Like, well, it's interesting. I mean, nothing that I know of particularly against the guy, but I'm like, I'm a Trump girl still. It was funny because I was listening to the DeSantis announcement and it crashed several times, which is kind of funny. On one hand, it's like, it's definitely a big thing if it crashes Twitter. Like there's so many people using it, but he was doing it with Elon Musk, and it was like he and everyone on the panel had to kiss up to Elon. And part of it too is that he's hosting the event, so it's very nice to say something to your host, like, yes, thank you. Right. Thank you for what you've done for free speech and everything. But I don't know, it was almost not DeSantis's party when it was supposed to be about DeSantis. And you could really tell that he has Ted Cruz's campaign manager, because a lot what he's doing, he's like, yeah, I'm big and butch and I'm, for America. I'm like, yeah, that's great. That's great, Ron, that you're big and butch for America. I never realized how weaselly your voice is until now, but that's fine. That's cool. You're good.
You know what? I was looking at him thinking similar things. Like, was your face always like I remember him looking like being more charismatic, I suppose, or something, but watching him lately, I've been like, I don't think that
yeah, weaseliness does not look good on him. But no, it's just listening to him. But the thing is that it's the stupid Romney and McCain and every other loser the Republican Party has ever had. It's that sort of thing where it's just like, yeah, but we're nice. It's like, no, it reminds me of the song from Into the Woods. It's like, no, you're so nice. You're not good. You're not bad. You're just nice. I'm right. Like, who is right here? I don't care about if you're nice. Oh, well, we're the nice version. Oh, well, no. You're going to be painted the devil next week. Don't go around being nice. Like, oh, this is my advantage. It's like, no, truth is your advantage. What you do is your advantage. And you're talking about like, well, yes, I'm going to get results. And I'm like, yes, getting results. Awesome. That is actually the end goal in doing them. You know who got results better than anybody? Still Trump. And it's like, oh, well, Trump is making fun of DeSantis. Yeah, and it's funny. Like,
yeah,
you might be like, oh, it's rude. It's like, okay, sure, fine, it's rude. But also, it's effective. And we don't need another Bush. We don't need another Romney. We don't need another, again, all of the Jeb, all of the ruling class Republicans who did nothing and are currently selling your rights downriver. Again, my senator, who I hate, John Thune, who is the nicest of simpering nice Republicans. He's so awful. He's the one who did the TikTok act where he was like, oh yeah, and by the way, the government will say what you can or cannot post online. How nice is that? Oh, how very kind and how respectable. And oh, he would never say anything bad to anyone ever. Him and the turtle. Yeah, that's really working out. Sorry.
Oh my gosh, Anne, please do not hold back and tell us all how you really feel.
It's like, oh, so believe me, I'm still holding back. No, I can't stand it. I cannot stand it that people are like, oh, well, we'll just be respectable. It's like, oh yeah, we'll just be respectable. And yeah, and how respectable are we going to be with China? How respectable are we going to be when the other party right now, we have evidence that all of the Biden family are on the take from China. All of them. Down to the nieces and nephews, except for the one, illegitimate daughter of a stripper. She's the only one who doesn't get the Biden money, which is very unmob family of them. They should have had a little kickback to quiet that one up. It's like all of this is going on. We know all of this. The stupid Durham report that is the 2016. It's about the 2016 election. that it's like, oh, we couldn't even do 2020. We should be worried about 2024, but sure. Well, we'll talk about the 2016 election. We won't interview anyone that matters, and nobody with a name will be prosecuted. But sure, the Durham report. If any of the Durham report, which is like, oh yes, the wheel of the law grinds finely when it comes to getting things. So it has to take forever. We have to dot every I and cross every T and wheeze after that Durham. But there's no actual ending. There's nothing is done. The FBI said, yeah, we were totally in on that, but hey, bummer, our bad. Still trust us though.
So back to DeSantis saying that he was going to run.
Anyways,
now
back
that we
to
know
Meatball
how
Ron.
now that we know how Anne feels about all of the rhinos and anybody who maybe thought about being a rhino.
Seriously, any rhino's mother, shame on her.
The thing about DeSantis is he hasn't said anything new. He waited until he got the thing signed into law that he could keep being governor, because I think he knows he's not going to get that far. Like in his speech, he said, oh, if I get the nomination, I will be in the White House. And I'm going, but will you? Will you really? Because yeah, Biden is like a sack of potatoes, but I think that with the cheating and stuff, I don't think that DeSantis brings enough fervor to the people watching that is going to make them, I don't know. I'm still not even up for Trump. I just don't know. I feel like it's all kind of a crapshoot at this point. Mm-hmm. But yeah, DeSantis didn't say anything interesting. I think I'm more interested in Tim Scott at this point. Obviously Trump too, but
right. I mean,
DeSantis is just part of the machine, like you said. And
right.
I don't want to.
And again, it's not as if he hasn't done great things for Florida. It's like, okay, good for him. But okay, and this has been said by several other people. This isn't new, but that the idea that all of these big Republicans are behind him, and perhaps it's because somebody told him that Trump is really going to be arrested for proper, or he's going to be so tied up in legal fees that he can't do that. And I'm sorry, that makes him even more scummy. Mm-hmm. If it's like, well, of course the other guy won't get involved because the federal government will kneecap him until he's incapacitated. So then you can take it. Oh yeah, I'm sure you can take it then. How is that going to be any different for anybody else? That you think it's okay not to stand up for the guy who is on your team, who ostensibly has all of your actual meat and potatoes policy issues. I would assume DeSantis would be like, yeah, he's with Trump on essentially everything. So why is he saying that? Oh, again, it's like, oh, it's what you really do. It's what you really accomplish at the end of the day. That's what matters. Yeah, it does. And for you to be like, oh, well, if the other guy is so entrammeled by his own justice system that he cannot go forward, well, that's great for me and my needs. What? That's just so slimy. That's so gross. Just why wouldn't you stand for the guy on your team? Okay, why wouldn't you say, hey, make more forward statements when it comes to these legal issues? Be like, hey, the justice system is in trouble here. There's no coming in for the assist. There's no, oh, well, it's like, oh, well, Trump is so petty. Well, nobody else is putting aside their personal ego to help anybody. This is, it's not about egos. It's not about being bombastic. Yeah, well, you are not being more humble in fighting these fights and, trying to separate yourself from Trump. You're not helping the American people who should be your top priority every time. Even if, okay, for like example, Tucker Carlson doesn't like Trump. Okay, this has been said before, but to my knowledge, Tucker Carlson has never undercut quote Trumpian values for the sake of him not liking Trump. Okay, right. That you don't, again, it's not you don't have to like the guy. Oh, well, he's rude. Oh, well, he's this. It's like, we're so past that. And even people saying like, it's like, oh, well, DeSantis isn't, again, loud, bombastic like Trump is. And, maybe quiet is what we need. No, quiet is what we have. Again, quiet is the sack of potatoes that you don't pay attention to because it's so boring. And then at the same time, horrible, horrible policy decisions happen every day. Human trafficking through our southern border, rampant. Foreign policy decisions, awful. China quietly eating up the rest of the world. We're on, this potential nuclear war situation with Russia. It's like, oh, well, but it's not a bombastic leader, so I guess we're okay. Well, it doesn't have to keep up my mind space. So I guess people who are actively being hurt by government policy is okay. I'm sure that's great. But
So all of those are very valid points. One thing I want to circle back to is that DeSantis really pushes how great Florida is. And one thing I heard that I don't know enough about Florida politics to know whether or not this is true, but I heard that part of the reason Florida is so fabulous is because of who he inherited it from, that it was already in really good shape. And so that makes me want to find out more, because I don't know if he was great with COVID, like that I know he did, but the rest of it, the economy, the things that are going on in Florida, I don't know if it's because whoever was in charge before him kind of laid the groundwork and then it worked out, or if he did it. So
right.
that's just something I want to find out, because that makes a difference. That makes a difference in whether or not he is going to be even a possibility. Because if you inherited Florida being awesome, then what did you actually do? So,
right. And also not to, simp for the great state of South Dakota more, but he's always like, oh, well, everyone's like, Florida is the best during COVID. It's awesome. It's like, no, Florida was really great. Good for Florida. South Dakota was better. Okay. Like, y'all, and I understand everyone wanting to vacation in Florida. I'm not knocking you for that, because there's much more. There's beaches in Florida. We don't have much of that here. Florida led the way. It's like, yeah, right. And it's not as if South Dakota doesn't have its own problems. After all, as I said before, we have the same three people who can be your choice for governor, representative, state, because they've all swapped jobs all the time. It's not that South Dakota isn't free from corruption or being a shill or political posturing or the rest of us, but genuinely, we were chill the whole time.
Yeah. Ann and I were talking about stuff, and she'd be like, oh, well, we never did that. And I'll be like, it's all we've been doing. I went into a hospital. So I mentioned I had some things going on this week. One of them was my mom had to have a procedure. I took her to the hospital. Finally, this is the first time since the COVID lockdowns, masks were optional in the hospital.
Wow.
So it's 2023. So it's been 3 years that we finally didn't have to wear a mask. We finally didn't have to get a COVID test before going into the hospital or a surgery center, because finally, after all these years. So like Ann and I will talk, and she'll be like, yeah, I never had to wear a mask anywhere. I never had to get a COVID test to go. And I'm like, what the heck?
Well, and it's like how Trump did it nationally, how it was by states. South Dakota did it so that there was no state mandate, that it was by city. So, or by town. We don't have much for cities, but that the town I was in is a little more lefty than most. So like there was 4 months of shutdown for businesses unless you were quote essential, which actually I know someone who lost their business. Part of it was because someone was embezzling and it wasn't them. So, but there was actual hurt to their business for being shut down for 4 months too. So, but anyways, there was harm to businesses, and there was stupidity, and there was some battle axe nurses who were quite ready to tell you what was what. But all of that being said, that South Dakota was, again, there's there's being chill from a policy standpoint, and there's also that there's not a lot of people in South Dakota, so there's a lot of self-governance anyways, and yeah, whatever.
Yeah. Well, I gotta tell you, so Ann and I have been going on kind of long. We need to wrap up, but this week on the news, on our local news, there was a story about how New York City has too many migrants and they don't have any more places to put them. And so Governor Hochul has come up with the absolute genius idea of putting them on SUNY campuses. SUNY is State University of New York. So she has decided that since school graduated last weekend, that the perfect place to house these illegals would be on the campuses. On the campuses where they're required to have vaccines and wear masks. You go through, I live near one of the college towns. You go through the town, the kids are walking around outside with their masks on because they're still forced to do this stuff. And they're going to just welcome these migrants in who have nobody knows anything about them. They probably have no vaccine. They don't have a mask. They don't give a shit. And here we are, we're gonna welcome them on. And then she thinks that in another 3 months when school starts, that these guys will just go somewhere else and leave the campus, which we've seen them not do everywhere they go. They won't leave the hotels and things that they've been placed in. And so now my husband wants to move, and South Dakota did come up as one of the places we could go to. And I said, well, at least I know one person there, so that's something.
Exactly.
But
And
it
again,
would probably be Tennessee because
and again, I do understand the whole climate thing, though. I mean, comparatively, our summers are quite mild, but the whole winter snowfall thing will get you.
yeah. I don't know. I'm hopeful that she won't do the whole thing. Several counties have said that they've made it into a law that they will not take migrants on their campuses. And I hope that my county does too, but just this nonsense that we are living in, and people just like, oh yeah, just take it. Just, whatever. I'm a taxpayer. I'm the reason that they can house those migrants down in New York City, because they take all my taxes and push them down there, and we get nothing up here, and that's what we got. I'm so tired of it.
It's your tax dollars that house all the migrants. It's your tax dollars who will then fix all of the state universities when they're all wrecked. And then they're like, oh, the students have no place to live. I'm sure we'll subsidize that in a different direction too. It's your tax dollars who will support any, if any violent crimes occur from these people that we don't know about, who have already illegally entered the country. It will cover that and everything else. It will cover the violent crimes that occur from people being soft on crime and not jailing people, so more violent crimes on the streets. It's your tax dollars who are going to, this prosecution of Daniel Penny for defending people in the subway. Even, it's a tragedy what happened with him and Jordan Neely, but still that the people around him thanked him because that man was a violent crime threat to others. But
they don't care. They don't care. They just, oh, he hurt this guy. Well, this guy had been arrested 40 something times, and he was aggressively going after people, but that doesn't matter. It matters that the one guy did the thing.
Right. I mean, it's still a tragedy that this man died, but the fact that he had been arrested so many times, he had said he was willing to die, willing to go to jail, and that Daniel Penny only acted when this man was making violent threats.
Right.
Okay? That it wasn't just, oh, well, he's going to find someone to attack. No, he was violently threatening a subway that was filled with women and children and elderly people. And he is the guy who's.
But, that's the problem with living in Hopeless, New York. We've got these people who have been arrested so many times that shouldn't be out, that are a threat to the rest of us who are out here just trying to live our lives. And we're just supposed to put up with it. In one of the cities nearby, 13-year-olds are stealing all the cars because they can't be held. So these gangs or whomever have gotten these young kids to come. It's just, everything is out of control because nobody wants to be held accountable anymore. So it's really too bad. And I guess if we move to Tennessee and you guys live there, I'll need some advice. So I hope that we get to stay, but it's just getting hard to live in such a blue state. Like, I know there's some states that have blue cities, but like our whole state is just, it's too bad. It's really, really too bad. We love it here. But anyway, on a positive note, knit. You can always knit. And there's still time to enter the April Showers Make Along that I am hosting on Instagram. Make a baby knit, make a teeny tiny hat, throw the hashtag April Showers MAL23 on there, and you'll get entered to win a prize. I've got some pretty bags from my brand new friend, Melina. And so there's a couple of project bags. There's another one. Yarn from Block Magazine. He's going to give you a gift certificate. So, you know, fun stuff. And then don't forget to enter for our monthly giveaway to get a beautiful skein of Rapunzel.
It is quite beautiful. It's this beautiful color of orange. And check out chickenladyfiberarts.com, our sponsor. Again, the May promo code for 20% off your order is military20 PIK, and get beautiful yarns such as this one or any of the other lovelies I showed. It's so beautiful. But yeah, definitely check her out. Check out our upcoming videos, like, comment, and subscribe. Shark Week is coming up. The full announcement on all of the rules and questions and everything else will be in the next issue of Blocked Magazine, which is a pattern issue, which is very exciting.
It's exciting stuff. So thanks for watching us, guys. We'll talk to you soon. Have a great Memorial Day.
All right.
We'll see you later.